Okay, we're live.
Yay.
Yay! Hello, everybody. Or if you're watching this back, hey there. Welcome to today's live show. I have the lovely, the one and only, the beautiful Nahomy from Nahommy's Library here on my channel, and we are going to discuss A Castle in the Clouds by Kerstin Gier. I forgot who it's translated by. Let's see.
It's such a
Romy
pretty
Fursland.
cover. I'm probably gonna end up buying that at some point. Like physically. It's a
It's
really
such a
pretty
beautiful, yeah, like the inside, like it's a really, wait, no, there's nothing else I like. Like there's just very pretty stuff, and like what
cover.
I really liked about the chapters is that every chapter has like a little, I know
Oh,
it's really nice.
cute.
It's a
Yeah.
beautiful book. Oh, and then like the cover is like a nice pretty blue. But
Okay.
I didn't let you introduce yourself, so
Hi, my name's Naomi from Naomi's Library. Yeah.
hi Ben, the MVP. He's always here even though he never reads the books. Appreciate it though.
Does he ever become like super interested in one of the books that you're talking about, and then he's like, "Oh, I should have read that before I heard you talking about it."
So, not for the book club, I think, or I don't know if Ben have you, but he's been reading like my favorite books slowly one by one, and then I feel bad because he generally doesn't love them. Like he finds them intriguing up to a certain point, and he's like, "Yeah, this is something that I would read, or that I'm glad I read," but he doesn't love them, and I feel bad because he's always reading books that I love, and then he recommends something to me, and then it takes me months for me to get to it.
Me too. I'm the same. I mean, my boyfriend doesn't really read like at all. I'm making him read Scythe right now by Neil Schusterman, but it's just he's very busy, so he can
Yeah.
read like a chapter a day.
That's a good one though, too. It's like super fast and the plot is intriguing.
Yes.
Hey, hey, thank you for joining. He said, yeah, every time. Yeah. So before we get into our ratings, this is going to be divided into a non-spoiler and then spoiler section. But let's give a brief synopsis for people who are watching this back. Um, are you good at giving synopsises? I'm like terrible with summaries.
I know. I just remember her name's Sophie Spark, and it's like YA, but it reads like middle grade to me. So it's supposed to be like YA. She's like a high school dropout, and she's like an intern at this like really cool hotel that has it's like a really old hotel too. And was it like a lot of like rich people go there type thing kind of? And she's like an intern there, and then there's just kind of like mysteries happening, but I didn't get that far in. So yeah, I DNF'd, by the way. Soft DNF'd, but we'll talk about it.
So just to add a little bit to that, yeah, it takes place in the Swiss Alps, and I think our main character's French. And she meets like a bunch of people at the hotel. There's a cat, which was like the saving grace for me. Um, so it's a really cozy, very endearing, kind of whimsical slash funny book. And those are not the books that I usually gravitate to. It's so I would say it's kind of like a mix, and I hate comparing it to other books because I feel like I'm always disappointed when people compare things to other books. But to me, it felt like a mix of like The Maid by Nita Prose and Finley Donovan is Killing It together,
Uh-huh.
but like not as good of a
Okay.
version of those two. Like a kind of I hate to say this, but like kind of like a mediocre version of those two put
Mhm.
together.
Okay. So you like The Maid, huh?
I didn't love it, but I liked it. I think I gave it like a 4 stars.
Okay, so I literally just finished Finley Donovan. That was a 5.
Yeah, I love Finley Donovan.
I need to read The Maid. But yeah, now that you mention it, like yes. But I actually had in my notes that it reminded me a lot of The Green Glass House. I don't know if you've ever heard of that book. So one of the reasons why I DNF this book for everybody out there, soft DNF, because I'm going to read this when it's like December, January, February, because this is what I want to read around these times, like December last year and January, February, whatever this year. All I read is like middle grade, like cozy stories. Like I read The Green Glass House this year. I read a lot of middle grade type books like Nevermore and stuff like that. So this would have been perfect around that time. And I was really enjoying it, but it's just like summer. I was just gravitating more towards like romance and like thrillers and stuff because it was Summerween and all that. So it's just not what I wanted to read right now, but I was enjoying it.
For those of you who are thinking of picking it up,
Mhm.
a lot of like winter vibes. It's in the Swiss Alps, and there is actually a love triangle in here that you don't really get to it until about want to say like 30 to 40% through the book.
Mhm.
But so I know people love or hate love triangles. I'm someone who loves them if they're done right, and I just it was lacking a little bit. Um, but yeah, anyways, there is some romance in there. It has a little bit of everything for everybody, and I think that's what I struggled with the most. So I haven't put my rating on Goodreads yet, but I will after this. So I was gonna give it a 2 stars,
Ooh, okay.
and I'll talk more about it later. But it just felt like because the books that I gravitate tend to be like darker and stuff, and we can talk about it more later. But I also love to read books that have like a blend of different genres, and this definitely did. It's like a mystery, a contemporary, um, like a funny, humorous book. But I don't think it did any of those things well. Like it just kind of felt like like a salad where she threw everything together, but the salad ingredients didn't blend together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with that. Um, from what I read. But I think I probably met both of the people that are in the love triangle, and I remember one of them was like starting. I honestly don't even remember his name, but I'm assuming the other one was like the owner's son or something like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
his name was Ben.
Okay, so yeah, I assumed that would have happened, but I remember it like the romance happening with the other guy who was helping her with like the mystery or something. Um, but that's all that I remember.
Yeah. It was an interesting read for sure, and I'm glad I read it. I also wonder every single time I read a translated work, I also wonder if it's the translation.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi, thank you for coming. Monster Locks Books. Uh, I was impressed with how much I enjoyed it. I liked the banter between Sophie and the mean little kid. I forgot his name. Oh,
God, I hated
yeah.
that kid. The one that was always like would say the person's name and then say something like Sophie Spark, high school dropout, blah
Yeah.
blah blah. Oh my God, how annoying!
That little kid got under my skin. I was like, "Oh, he's so irritating," but, like, in a good way. I did enjoy the banter between them, actually.
Did you read it physically or?
So, I started it physically, and I had a really hard time getting into it. So then I looked on Libby, and the audiobook was available. So then I read, like, 20 to 30% in audiobook, and then I came back to the physical book once I was into it, because then it was going too slow on audiobook, but yeah, I did a mixed format.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't buy it physically because I don't have it, but I did have it from the library on my Kindle, and then I did the same thing on Libby, the audiobook, and that little boy's like voice was so annoying. Like on the audiobook, I don't know if you ever got like a scene when you listen, but it was so annoying.
She said she loved the narrator.
Yeah, I think she did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So from the, amount that you did get into, did you have a favorite character or worst character?
Well, worst character is probably that little boy. Uh, gosh, I can't remember.
You
Mm,
know, wait, actually, we haven't really gotten to spoilers yet, so maybe, we can talk about 1 or 2 things that we really liked about the book, and then maybe 1 or 2 things that if I mean, unless you didn't like it, or like one or two things you didn't like or didn't work out without any spoilers, and then we can go ahead and move into full spoil. I can't speak.
You're good. Let me think. One thing that I did like was that there's these girls that are super mean to her. I think I got 50, like literally 50%, like halfway through. There are these girls that are really mean to her, and she kind of like stands up for herself, but it kind of bites her in the butt later. But I did like that scene when she kind of like stands up for herself, because I feel like that you don't really see that a lot in books like that. So I really like that scene. Um, I think they were like in the bathroom or something. I don't remember really well. I don't
Yeah,
know.
where they're like, she's like, "Why did you leave your hair?" or something, right? Like, and it's her red hair.
Yeah, and she's like, I was about to do it. Like you just gave me the chance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, let's see, what did I like? I liked the atmosphere. I thought it was a great atmosphere, great wintry vibes,
Hmm.
especially during the winter. I feel like people should read it in winter if that's when they want to pick it up. And I just actually really enjoyed the hotel. We it wasn't. I wish it was just described a little bit more, but
Hmm.
she talks about how like there were nooks and crannies where a lot of people could hide, and there was this library that she would go to and read. I wish there was a little bit more description of like different areas, but even then, we got a really good description of like the spa and stuff because there was some scenes that happened there. But yeah, I really liked the atmosphere. I thought it was well done. Um, that was about it.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know what you didn't really enjoy about it specifically, but for me, I feel like it started losing me when they started talking about like the mystery, and they just started throwing out like all these names of these families that stay there, and like I think it was like jewelry or something that they were worried about, and it just started losing me there. But there were some really funny scenes, like the opening of the book when she's trying to find the boys that she's supposed to be like taking care of, and she can't even remember their names, or when they're like in the lobby and she thinks like a dog like took a
Food,
shit
yeah.
in the lobby, and she's like trying to cover it so she doesn't look bad because she's like new there. Like there were some funny scenes, but it also like kind of took me out of the story because I feel like that type of humor isn't really in the cozy books that I read. Um, so it was very different type book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I thought it was, like, a good mix of, like, Finley Donovan and The Maid because it has both of those, like, elements. I thought those scenes were really funny too. It kind of, like, reminded me of, like a what is that channel? Like, is it ABC? But, you know, like, those, like, family movies where there's, like, a bunch of kids and they're, like, doing pranks with each other, and, like, it's just, like, a wholesome family movie. That's what this felt like. Um so if you like that, I think this has great vibes. Um, there were like a couple of like little things that I didn't like. I didn't love the way that the love triangle was executed. Um, I also, even though she like stood up for herself, I like that part too. But I didn't like the like just hating other girls because they're other girls type of thing in there. You know, like I love female empowerment and I don't like it when women tear each other down. And so just to see that they didn't get along because they were girls, it just felt very like kind of like you said earlier, it's like a young adult book but read like middle grade. Like it was very young, very amateurish, like,
Yeah.
"Ooh, I don't like you," I didn't like that, so I think it's maybe, like, the result of their age, but then so she's supposed to be, like, what, 17, 15, right? Because she's a high school dropout.
Hmm.
To me, these characters read like they were 11, so maybe if she would've made it a middle grade book, then I would've enjoyed it more.
Yeah, because when I read the Green Glass House, it's very similar to this, and it's kind of like a mystery, but it's these two little kids like trying to do the mystery, and then they become like their own character. So I think that would have worked really well with this type of like hotel and like you know, when you're a little kid, you think everything's like an adventure.
Yeah.
Even when you're on vacation and stuff and you're like at a hotel. I think that would have worked really well in this, but I don't know the young adult. I don't know if she was trying to make it more of like a romance too with the love triangle and everything, but what did she write? Because I know I've heard this author's name before. I think someone mentioned like they have a popular book, and I'm pretty sure it's YA. I can look
It's
it up on here.
the Silver trilogy, although I've never read it, and then the Ruby Red trilogy.
The Ruby Red. Oh my gosh, that's the
Mhm.
one. Yeah, Ruby Red. I think that's also like YA, and it's like adventure like that, I believe. I don't remember what it follows, but I remember that was like super popular in like I don't know 2015 maybe.
Yeah, I mean, she's a really popular author. Like her works are translated into like 25 different languages or something like that.
Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
So did you find the main character likable?
Um. Yes and no. I thought she was really funny. I just feel like she was like a little bit naive and like I think I'm also very used to reading young adult novels where like I guess like our young adult characters are just they act older too. I don't feel like I've ever read a young adult character that reads this young too. I
Yeah.
remember like me around this age, and I don't think that would have been how I was acting, I guess. But then also like there's all these other young adult like Hunger Games and Twilight, and like they obviously they're about the same age, but they, you know, it's very different, like how this character acted. Um,
Yep.
yeah. So I think it was a bit more childish and like yeah, just like middle grade, I guess.
Yeah, and I didn't find her unlikable. I just found her and and that's the worst part. Like I wish I had strong feelings towards her, but I just found her like yeah,
Yeah.
she's our main character. Like there wasn't anything that I specifically loved about her and then there wasn't anything that I really hated about her. So she was just kind of like very middle of the road and I feel like that's worse than me just not
I
liking
know.
her.
Yeah, that's usually like worse
Yeah.
than like a really like bad uh main character. Because I usually like unlikable like main characters. I don't know if you read like Velvet Was the Night by Silvia Moreno. I
Yeah,
love that character because
me
she's
too.
a little bit unlikable, you know? So I usually yeah, when it's like middle of the road, it's like and I have a hard time with like not being able to connect with characters that just kind of puts the whole book like down for me.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't really struggle with connecting with characters. Like if I don't connect with a character, I'm like whatever. But I at least need something to keep me invested in the story. And for me, it just felt like I was reading because of the live show. Like I was like, okay, it's a book club pick. I should probably finish it. But
Mhm.
really the entire time I was like, when is this book gonna end? You know,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Yeah.
And I picked this up like super early on because I wanted to like early on in the month because I wanted to finish it before I started summer ween reads. And I think I was reading it maybe for like 5 days. And usually a book that's like 300-ish pages like only takes me like 2.5 or 3 days
Yeah.
tops. So it was dragging a little bit for me because I just didn't want to pick it back up.
Yeah. But that all that being said, I think if you tend to read young adult middle grade and you like cozy mysteries and um, possibly some love triangles, I think it's a great book for its target audience. And
Mhm.
I think that's the point of it here. Like, I'm just not its target audience, which is why I gave it 2 stars. Like, it has a lot of things that I don't like the cozy atmosphere and like very endearing characters. It's very warm. Um, and it's also young adult, middle grade. I don't read tons of young adult or middle grade. And when I do, I prefer more adult characters. So it was a combination of things I didn't like for
Mhm.
me. But the book, I think other people could really like. Yeah. Okay. So, with that, I guess we can go ahead and get into spoilers. So, if anybody's here that hasn't read the book and you don't want to be spoiled, this is where we will go ahead and talk about some other things. So, see you later. Oh, we have a comment. I liked her. I feel like I could relate to her because I felt like she has bad luck at times, like the scene where she thinks there's poop. Yes.
Oh.
And I love how she like scooped it into a hat and then she was trying to do the right thing, right? But even then, the little boy ratted her out and the manager's there like, "What are you doing with this like person's hat?" Yeah, you're totally right. Bye, Ben. So, I forgot what my question was to you earlier. Oh yeah, favorite scene or favorite character.
Um, yeah, I mean, I feel like because I only got like halfway through, I feel like I pretty much talked about mainly what I remember. But I will say that like from I didn't really get too into the love triangle from what I started to see when like the mystery starts, and that guy, I forgot his name honestly, but that guy starts helping her. I was like, I'm not interested in this romance right now. I didn't know there was gonna be romance in this. So I don't know how I would feel about there being even more romance added on later with another guy.
Mhm.
Well, I honestly did like the son of the owner more than I did that one mysterious guy. I can't remember
I'm
who
trying
he
to find
was.
his name.
Yeah.
He had a
But
weird
I was
name.
like not interested in that guy and like her. And I could tell that they were like flirting or whatever. But yeah, I did not care for that romance. So I don't know how I would have felt. And I also don't know how it ends. So I don't know if who she ends up with, if anybody, but yeah.
I won't spoil it for you. I won't tell you. Um, but that's so funny because actually started I mean, I didn't enjoy the love triangle at all, but if I had to pick like one of the two guys that I liked more, it was I looked it up. His name's Tristan. I actually really liked her interactions with Tristan because they were like really playful, whereas Ben was like the like I don't know, like the good guy. I guess I'm into like the bad guys, like the ones that like not the ones that are mean to you and like tug at your hair when you're in middle school, but like the ones that I don't know are funny and play around with you, you know?
Hmm.
Not play around with you, but, like, banter with you.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
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 I also don't know if it was because like he's helping her with the mystery, and that's kind of where it went downhill for me because I was like, I don't know what this is like what is happening right now with the mystery. I think I might have gotten lost. I might have been listening to the audiobook when the whole mystery part was introduced with like the jewelry and all that, but yeah, because he was like introduced somewhere in there when he started helping her. That's maybe why I also wasn't very invested, but
So, mild spoilers, if you're okay with them. So, it starts off with the mystery of the ring, from that couple, right? It goes missing and they're trying to find it, and then it turns out someone else took it. So, that's, like, the initial mystery, I guess. There's like a bigger mystery that's introduced later. I don't
mhm,
even know if you can call it a mystery, but more of like a conspiracy. So they find the jewelry or whatever, and then they think that there is like a hotel kidnapper, and that kidnapper is going to take one of the kids that lives there, and she's the babysitter who's supposed to take care of them, and like ransom some money or something like that. I'm not going to tell you any more than that, but it like becomes part of a larger like conspiracy. Like, is there a hotel kidnapper? Is there not? Is it all in my head? Like, was the jewelry plot thing just like a thing on its own?
mhm.
And I think after we get through the jewelry portion, I actually became like a little bit invested in the story because I was like, wait, is there a kidnapper? Is there not a kidnapper? Um, yeah. So it picked up a lot more near the end.
Okay, so maybe if I would have pushed through a little bit more, I would have been more invested. Okay, that sounds really interesting actually. And I did like because I do like the books that have kind of like the Nancy Drew type of like investigation of like amateur um kids like trying to figure this mystery out. But that sounds really interesting, actually. That sounds a little bit more high stakes too, because I was like, I don't care like that some rich people's ring
Yeah.
got stolen right now. Like I really don't care. But yeah, that sounds a bit more interesting.
It becomes something else. I like the romance between her and Ben because I felt like it made sense and fit the story, but I wish Ben would have been the one helping her solve the mystery. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I agree. So he, um, again, mild spoilers. So he doesn't really, I guess, believe her when she says that there might be a kidnapper, and he's like, no, but like, look at all these logical reasons as to why there isn't a kidnapper. And she's
Hmm.
like, well, yeah, you're kind of right. And Tristan's like the kind of person to look into it. So, she still questions whether there's a kidnapper or not, but Ben doesn't really help at all.
Okay.
I feel like Tristan was helping her more and believed her versus Ben. Yeah.
Oh no.
He was being in defense to Ben, he was like being logical, like really like out of all the hotels or whatever thing, like this kidnapper going across Europe, like what is the likelihood that they are here this weekend and that these kids are going to be kidnapped? So, and we still don't know, right, if there was a kidnapper or not, because I'm not going to spoil it for you. um, so in terms of, well, I think we talked about favorite character and favorite scene. I think my favorite character was the cat. I really like the cat. Um,
What was the
and
cat's
I don't
name?
even uh the forbidden cat, I think he didn't have a name or she didn't have a name, and we don't even know if it was one cat or multiple cats.
Okay.
But I really like the cat. I love cats. I love animals in general. And then I don't know if I have a favorite scene.
Mm,
Yeah.
look at my notes. Oh, I guess I wrote down. I think I might have read this also as I was looking at reviews from people too, just to have like things to talk about. I saw that someone mentioned that they liked that the main character, Sophie, that they liked that she was a high school dropout because of the reason that usually young adult novels like always focus so much around school, and like school is such a big part of like YA, like coming of age stories, or like if it's the summer and it's like the summer out of sight of school, or like they're going to college and all this stuff. Like school surrounds like YA a lot. So I saw that somebody mentioned that and I was like, oh, that is interesting. I don't think I would have really thought of that in too much depth, but I don't know if also like being like dropping out of school is not that big of a deal in other countries, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, so I also found that interesting, and I mean, I'm not very familiar with like the European educational system, but cuz so Ben went to school in, you know what, never mind. That's besides the point, but I had one friend who grew up in, I don't remember which European country, but they like choose tracks from when they're like in 8th grade. Like you're either going to go like more of the sciencey route or more of like the another type of route like arts. And please correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, they choose tracks very early on and you kind of like work towards your career since you're like in late middle school, early high school. So I think it's like a really big deal and you're like a disappointment to your family or whatever if you don't finish high school or go to college. But I really enjoyed that aspect of it because, school is not for everybody. And I feel like kids need to see that, right? Like if you're passionate about something or if you don't want to go to school and you take a non traditional route, that doesn't mean you're not going to be successful or fulfilled more so than anything, right? So,
Yeah. I know a friend here on Booktube. He lives in Ireland, and I think he's mentioned the track thing, which is also kind of wild because like when I was in college, when I was like I did go to college like I think I was 17 going to 18 when I started because of Puerto Rico high like the school system, whatever, like I was younger than everyone else in my classes. And when I was in college, I probably changed my major like 4 or 5 times. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's so wild that like they have to choose a track like in 8th grade. Cause like I probably would have chosen something completely different from what I'm doing now because I don't know what I wanted to do then. I probably wanted
Girl,
to be a filmmaker
yeah.
when I
I
was
was
in 8th grade.
I was about to say, girl, I don't even know what I wanna do right now. And I'm like, I'm 28 and I'm like, I don't know what I wanna do next, you know? So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's wild. I also changed my major a couple of times.
Oh yeah, I changed mine a lot. And I think like when you're younger, you just want to do like different things that, you know.
Yeah, you wanna explore, have fun, see the world, meet people.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. I don't even know if, like, I wanna go to graduate school, you know, like, everybody I feel like everybody around me is going to grad school right now, everybody that's, like, around my age that are my close, like, in real life friends or, like, my coworkers at work that are around my same age, they're just all going to grad school, and I'm like, I don't even know if like, what would I go to grad school for? Like, why am I gonna go if I don't even know what I would wanna study, you know?
I don't know. I mean, I like would want to go to grad school. I could not afford it. And also school is so stressful for me that I don't know if I want to go back to school. Like,
Yeah.
ugh. Which I kind of get, Sophie.
Yeah, like, I wanna go once I find out what I wanna do because I actually miss school just a little bit, like, the 9 to 5 for me just sometimes sucks, you know, like, just having summer to yourself or having a few classes here and there and then having time to just do whatever you want. I'm like, "I want that again." Um, yeah, 9 to 5 sucks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't think there's anything else. Does anybody have any questions that's on the live right now or anything you wanted to talk about in the book?
Let us know. Yeah, I like looked at my notes. It's pretty much um that this is more of a winter book and that it reminded me a lot of the Green Glass. It's super fluffy. It was really silly too. But I did like I liked a lot the big cast of characters and the
Mhm.
fact that it's a hotel, like you see very different people come in and out. Just also maybe why she kind of chose that route when she left school, because I feel like that would be so like if you can't really travel and stuff, like working for a hotel kind of gives you that experience in a way because you get to meet so many people from around the world type thing. Um, yeah, I think I already talked about most of the things. Yeah, pretty much everything that I have on my notes.
Yeah, same here. I guess like the only last thing is I guess it's also kind of very loosely like an introduction to like closed circle mysteries. So if there is a kidnapper, and I can't confirm if there is, but if there was, it has to be someone that's already in the hotel because there's like a blizzard that snows them in, or there's just like inclement weather. So I guess it's an introduction for people to close circle mysteries.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah. I gave it a 3.5. It was cute and lighthearted. I agree. Yes, cute, lighthearted, and then I think you said silly. It was really silly. Those scenes did give me joy, and I did giggle.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So I think that was the end of the live show. But thank you all so much for coming. We really appreciate you. And yeah, was there anything else you wanted to add, Naomi?
No, I think I'm all good.
Sounds good. Thank you, everybody.